As you have just heard, I have lived long enough to see great changes in our profession. But the news that I was to receive the ABA medal was as surprising as it remains spirit-lifting and appreciated beyond reckoning. 1,000 thanks to all who supported my nomination, and especially to U.S. District Judge Barbara Lynn for her persistence in advancing my name for this great honor. My involvement in ABA activities began in the 1960s when a wise and gentle man, Otto Sommerich, invited me to serve on the European Law Committee of the International Law Section. My principal endeavor for the committee was a survey of rules and practices in the United States regarding counseling here by attorneys from other lands. The objective was to encourage greater receptivity here and abroad to transnational law practice. In those days, precious few women appeared on ABA rosters. An obituary praising Otto Sommerich, published in the International Lawyer in 1968, lauded his attempts to broaden the horizon of legal knowledge among young men. A then rather shy young woman was also the beneficiary of his zeal to demonstrate the utility of comparative law and practice inquiries. 1972 was a turning point year for women in the legal profession. Women's enrollment in law school surged, in part perhaps because law schools were fearful of losing men to Vietnam draft calls, and they generously admitted female applicants. The Nixon administration, through the Office of Civil Rights in the then Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, actively encouraged universities, including law faculties, to adopt affirmative action plans designed to advance opportunities for members of minority groups and women. I was offered a tenure post at Columbia Law School that year, and it was not simply by chance that the same year, 1972, I was invited to serve on the board of editors of the ABA Journal. My last year on the journal board, 1978, yielded an unexpected adventure. The ABA was invited to send a delegation to China when that vast country was just emerging from the devastating excesses of the Cultural Revolution. Top-ranking ABA officers, past, present, and future, dominated the 12-member delegation, but it would not do, the ABA leadership recognized, to present as representative of the association only white men of a certain age. Cecil Poole, then a U.S. District Judge in San Francisco and an African American, and I completed the delegation. It was a fascinating journey about which I wrote in the ABA Journal, pursuant to an agreement with my fellow travelers. I would keep the diary in exchange for copies of the photographs all the others took. Those photographs of an awakening China are lodged among items I have transferred to the Library of Congress. China at that time had order, but little law and no lawyers, and it was not yet prepared to accommodate a tourist trade. The men had to double up at hotels, while every place we visited, I enjoyed what Virginia Woolf said a woman writer needs, a room of my own. Over the years, as you have heard, I have had many other ABA affiliations, including service on the American Bar Foundation Board and Executive Committee, the Council of the Individual Rights and Responsibilities section, the Amicus Curiae Committee, then headed by Dean Griswold, the Standing Committee on Federal Judicial Improvements. But in truth, I have received much more than I was given, than I gave. Without ABA support, I do not believe I would hold the good job I have today. That support was shown first in 1980. Jimmy Carter was the nation's president, and he was determined to change the complexion of the U.S. judiciary by appointing members of minority groups and women to the bench in numbers. When Carter took office, only one woman served on a federal appellate bench, Ninth Circuit Judge Shirley Hufstetler, ABA medal recipient in 1995. When Carter left office, some 40 women had gained lifetime federal judgeships, including 11 appointed to courts of appeals. I was last of the 11. President Carter nominated me to a DC Circuit post in late spring 1980. Brooksley Bourne, one of yesterday's Margaret Brent Award recipients, then served as DC representative on the ABA's Standing Committee on the Federal Judiciary. It was late in Carter's term and not clear that any more of his judicial nominees would get through. And there was more than a little concern that opposition might be spurred by my affiliation with the American Civil Liberties Union as one of the union's general counsel and co-founder of its Women's Rights Project. Brooksley's report garnered for me the ABA's highest rating, well qualified, and that rating made me invulnerable to attack as unfit for the appointment. 13 years later, the ABA's Standing Committee similarly endorsed my nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court. A past ABA president, Chesterfield Smith, testified glowingly in my favor at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearings, and no senator so much as mentioned my ACLU connection. The vote in the Senate committee was unanimous, and on the Senate floor, 96-3. With ABA encouragement, may the U.S. Senate someday return to the collegial bipartisan spirit that Justice Breyer and I had the good fortune to experience. In 1918, the ABA admitted as members the first two women to join the association, Mary Bell Grossman of Ohio and Mary Florence Lathrop of Colorado. How far we have come from the days when women were one or two at a time curiosities at the bar. Progress toward genuinely equal opportunity for women in law has been spearheaded by the Commission on Women in the Profession, launched by the association in 1987, its first chair, a Little Rock lawyer named Hillary Rodham Clinton. One of the Commission's many innovations is an annual report card showing women's participation at ABA leadership levels. There is a way to go, as indicated in a commission-prompted survey published just last month, showing the compensation gap between men and women in law firm partnership posts. But consider the distance we have traveled from the not-so-good, not-so-old days when no law firm offered employment to a stellar Stanford Law School graduate, Sandra Day O'Connor, or to me when I was about to receive a degree from Columbia Law School. Carolyn Lamb is the fourth woman to become president of the ABA, and 3 women, if I have it right, have so far chaired the House of Delegates, and the association now has its first female treasurer, Alice Richmond. I delayed my arrival here to attend Saturday afternoon the ceremony at the Supreme Court in which Elena Kagan took the oath of office as Associate Justice. Elena, incidentally, was judged unanimously well qualified by the ABA's Federal Judiciary Committee. My only sadness is the absence at that ceremony and today of my partner in life for 56 years, my biggest booster and best laugh producer, tax lawyer Non Parel, and Georgetown University Law Center professor Martin D. Ginsburg. But Marty knew I was to receive this award. When I told him of Carolyn's letter, he smiled and said he would be cheering for me. It is fitting to close these remarks with words a brave lady, Susan B. Anthony, penned in 1900, 20 years before women gained the right to vote. Miss Anthony dreamed of a day when woman would be the peer of man in education, in art, in science, in literature, in the home, the church, the state, everywhere. She would be his acknowledged equal, though not identical with him. She anticipated an age in which man and woman would work together to make the world better for their having lived. May the ABA continue its efforts toward the full realization of Susan B. Anthony's vision in our nation and world. And with appreciation for your patient audience, I applaud President Lamb for her term at the helm of the ABA. Brava, Carolyn, for a great performance, and may the association thrive, aided by everyone here in the pursuit of justice, equal, and accessible to all. Thank you.